Hey guys, this is Christine Pereira from Soulful Selling Bootcamp, and I'm here with Angela Brooks, who is a network marketing professional, a blogger, and an author of Nurses' Voices. And do you want to tell them a little bit more about yourself, Angela? I'm sure you can give a better description than I can.
I was a burnout nurse that worked in a state-funded mental hospital for 25 and a half years. I retired this past December. In the process of retiring for the last, I guess at my 20-year mark, I was like, I can't do this for another 10, 15 years. And I really started building my network marketing, which I was really new. And I had to start from scratch, from building a blog, building a list. I had to start brand new with everything. So it's been quite a journey, but it was well worth it. So when I reached the point that my income crossed over more than it made sense to go to work, then I went ahead and put in my retirement papers and left nursing with no regrets whatsoever. So now we are building network marketing and using, learning how to do different products and trying to serve the community as well as possible.
Mm-hmm. And I love kind of everything you've told me. Angela and I kind of met through an online group, and I did an interview with her last month, and I was so impressed with everything. You really seem like a natural salesperson, and I was kind of curious with your background in nursing, did you feel like when you were a nurse, like you were almost like a salesperson, like trying to kind of convince people to take care of themselves? Because it does seem like to me that would be almost like a really hard sales job.
It is. And when we worked in an environment that was, you had to do lots of encouraging. You had to do, in order for them to take their medications, to take a bath, to do the general self-care things, you had to make it their idea. You had to let them see the value of taking care of themselves. So, I never looked at it that way, but I guess I was a salesperson in a way because I had to sell good health to them. And we got along really well.
Because I had this conversation in a group yesterday about how selling is really serving. And it really seems like with your nursing background, which is very clearly serving people, that you really applied that. And I've been just so impressed with things you've talked about with sales. And I always say I'd love to interview Soulful Sellers, and that's how we got here. So it's so interesting that background kind of naturally led you into network marketing. So do you want to talk a little bit more about your business? So do you just sell the one product now, or is it a range of products?
Well, I'm with Young Living Essential Oils, which has a wide range of products from infused natural health to the essential oils. So that's one revenue that I have for income. And then I've got The Nurses' Voice, which is a book that I wrote, actually not even an intention to write a book. I was blogging, kind of like a release. When I would get off work, I was telling these crazy stories in a blog, and it got lots of attention. So that turned into a book, which was fun. And I have built my business now around teaching generic business building so that it can be used in Young Living, yes, but for any company, actually. And the tips and things are all the same. It doesn't matter what company, you're still selling yourself. And
exactly.
I've got another book coming out that will be, pre-sales are Black Friday, and then on Cyber Monday is when it goes on sale, which again, I was writing a small ebook and it turned out like 100 pages.
Oh, that's great.
So we've got a new product coming out with that, and I'm really excited about sharing that information, because I think that's where marketers struggle is what's the next step, and they're paying for all these small products, but they don't give them a step to actually implement and see results. So I hope I can fill that void right there.
Yeah, and I've been so impressed with how you transitioned from nursing to essentially kind of working for yourself, being an entrepreneur, and really learning all this marketing. Like, how did you learn everything and become so skillful at it so quickly? Because it really seems like you really understand kind of your market. You have all of the basic business skills, and I don't know if you maybe had that before, but I don't think most people learn that in nursing. So I've been really impressed with how you have had this big career transition, and you've become so skillful at being an entrepreneur, which is so many different skills that you have to learn.
And it was quite a transition. but I have always wanted to have my own business. I didn't know what it was going to be in. I didn't know that I wanted to do oils. I knew I wanted to serve people because I enjoy helping people and I love seeing good results. That was something that I liked about nursing, that when the patients come in, they were really, really sick, to watch them progress and be able to be a part of that. So when you see somebody who's coming into business and they've never blogged, they've never had any type of skills, that I can assist them in that, that's really fun to watch them grow. And no, all of that was a learning transition for me. I've hired business coaches. I've been to events, and I was very hungry for content. I took notes. This is just one of my books that I take notes in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I've got like 4 of those. But if I took it down
amazing.
and wrote it in a note, I put it in place. I didn't just learn the information and think about it. I went to the computer and I put it in. Most of the time it was done literally before I left the event. So I made sure. Yeah. And that's why I always sit on the back row so that I could work while I was listening. And they're going, "You're not paying attention." And I would flip my computer around. Yes, I am.
Yeah. So you were very, very dedicated student.
Yep.
That's amazing.
And that's what I encourage the people that I work with. Don't just hear what I'm saying, actually put it in place, because that's where the magic happens.
So true. So true. So what would you consider your first sales job? I mean, we talked about how nursing was almost like a sales job. Did you have any other jobs before that, or was this network marketing job your first sales job? Because you just intuitively get sales like at a very deep level. So did you get sales training somewhere along the way?
I've piddled in it, I would say. I've piddled in it since 2000. And when I was a single mom, I thought if I just had $500 a month, that would just have opened the stress level. It would really decrease. And I used to take, it was a bottle of product that I started with. I didn't know anything about building a team. I didn't know anything about how network marketing works and, the layers of a comp plan. And I was just selling individual bottles, and I was selling $400 or $500 worth of bottle products a month, just out of the trunk of my car. And I did that for the longest time until that company went under. I went into another company that is now closed. And I was just marketing product. I was not building a team. So once I started going to events and really learning how to do a comp plan and how it benefits me, that's when I started really learning how to, and adding the value to my customers. Don't just buy this product, but get this kit so that you get the best value. Because I can sell you a $70 product all day, but you're going to be better if you got a kit for $150 and get 10 products instead of 1. So, I tried to make sure that I provided the value and they could understand that I'm not here to rip you off. I really want you to have the best value that you can get. So.
Right. So how would you describe like your sales style?
Relaxed. I am. I'm not going to chase anybody down at Walmart. I'm not going to beg, plead, and I'm not going to lie to them to get their credit card. I'm just not. I've been done that way. I don't like it. It didn't feel good, and I don't like being slimy. So when somebody asks me a question, they ask me because they have a problem. They want to solve that problem. If I don't solve this problem, the rest of it really doesn't make any difference. So I'll ask them, what is it you're looking at for the essential oils? Why do you want this product? So that I can kind of direct them where they need to go. I've got a dog groomer, as a matter of fact, that contacted me just this week, which is connected to a very large animal clinic. They are looking for natural health for their pets, and she wanted one product. So I was able to show her, yes, I can give you this one and it's going to cost this, but you can serve your other animals with a diffuser and other products if you have this. So she was just really blown away at how much more there was to offer. And I told her, I said, I can sell this to you, or you can, more for your money, and I can teach you how to use them. So I don't abandon them either. I put them in a Facebook group and give them good support so that they can grow with their business or their products or their.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you really educate them, and I can tell that you really come from that, like selling and serving, like you're looking at how you can help them, which I think is so key And I have to think that maybe that came from your nursing background because you're a natural, like helper.
Yeah.
And, you're looking at it from that angle of how can I help these people and make it best for them.
Yep.
So that's great. So what have you learned over the years of doing this and doing sales? Like, has your style changed at all? Like you mentioned, like you don't want to be slimy. I can't imagine you were ever slimy to begin with, but like what have you learned along the way and like what's changed?
I think what I've learned the most is anybody who goes into sales immediately, they're fearful of trying to make people buy something. And I no longer look at it as they're buying something. I'm giving them an opportunity to change their health or their life or
exactly. Yeah.
If they start into it and they come to me and they want to be a business, I know that if they will do what I teach them, then their bank account's going to change. That means their life is going to change. They're going to become debt free. And that gives me like cold chills to know that somebody could actually change their life in that direction. Or maybe they could use a couple of the products and just really feel better. And as a nurse, and we were handing out, just cups and cups of medications a day. And you was seeing the side effects. And I knew some of them needed some of the medicines, but they were so bogged down with side effects. It's like I couldn't do that anymore. So being able to give somebody something that actually helps them and they feel good, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I love how you're thinking about instead of like, how can I make more money, but what's best for this person? And I think when you take that approach where you're looking at how can I serve or how can I offer like my assistance to make this person's life better, I think when you come from that place in sales, it makes it more, not just more natural and more effective, but it also makes you feel good about what you're doing as opposed to thinking I'm trying to sell them. And I think that's where people get hung up. They think like, I don't want to be pushy. And you're not pushing someone if you're offering service and you're helping them.
Right.
And that's why I like the way that you approach it. It seems like that's so effective from you. And so a lot of that is really like a mindset, right? It's just looking at it and thinking about it that way instead of saying, this is, I want to help you instead of I want to sell you, right?
And I'll give you an example of that. When we were, my youngest son and I were at the grocery store the other day. The little fella that brings the groceries out to my car has done it for years. And, he was asking, how was my day? He's always so nice, and he's just a great person. And he had been a network marketer before because I had seen him with products in the store that he worked. And he made the comment that someday I want to do something different. This is not what I always want to do. And I said, I reached in and got my business card, and I said, I want you to look at this. And if this interests you, then call me. I said, because I can help you change that if you're really, really wanting to. And he stopped and he paused and he said, I just know you can. So I'm going back to the grocery store this afternoon and we'll see what he thought. But I didn't tell him what the product was. I didn't tell him what kind of business. I said, here's the link. I want you to go look it up, do your own research, and then let me know. So,
oh, that's great.
Yeah, he didn't turn around and run, and I didn't go, you need this, it's the greatest product in the world. So I want it to be his decision, not just mine.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because really, like when you think about, and I don't know if all the people who follow me are familiar with what network marketing is, but I mean, that's hard. You're doing sales like one-on-one to individual people, which, my experience is more in business sales and in selling to larger companies. And I really think like when you're selling to individual people, it's harder. That's some of like the hardest sales you have to make because it's very personal. Every person is different, understanding that, and you're selling in your community. So people, you don't want people to kind of like run from you at the at the holiday party or whatever. So how do you approach that in social situations? Do you bring up, because I know you have younger kids, do you like talk about it at events? Like how do you, because you live in a fairly small town, if I'm remembering, or yeah.
And that's where social media has come in really helpful in a small town. People know that I travel a lot. They know that I'm, if I'm at an airport, I'm posting, I'm on Nashville going to Dallas or whatever. And if they see me at kids events, they're going, what is it that you do? And so when somebody asks me that question, that opens the door for me to tell them that I'm working with moms to help them change their life. And, I said, I'm always looking for referrals. Do you know anybody? I don't approach them because they immediately do this. But when they're going, well, I need something like that. Great. How can I help you? So I try not to be in their face, but I give them the information they're looking for without going, it's like grabbing them and pulling them in. It's like I'm talking about somebody else to them. And so they're kind of going, but I can do that. I need to do that. So that gives you the open door.
Right. Yeah, that's great. And so if you guys have just joined us, this is Christine Pereira from Soulful Selling Bootcamp, and I'm here with Angela Brooks. Angela, what's your website?
It is Angela Brook, without the S on the end.com.
Okay.
I used to have an S, but there was another website that has it and they wouldn't sell. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's easy to find, angelabrook.com. And we're talking about, I'm interviewing Angela because I think she's a very soulful seller. She works in network marketing, and I really like the way that she approaches sales as service. And so I wanted to interview her today and share a little bit about her tips and her journey. Oh, thank you. So what are like some of the big lessons you've learned over time, and not necessarily business lessons, but making a transition from nursing to sales or to be an entrepreneur is like a very big decision. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that and like about, your story?
The day that I handed in my resignation from my job, scared. I was like, my palms were sweaty. I was shaking. I was scared to death. It was like, because that's what I'd done. I mean, I've worked a job with a boss since I was 14. And so actually handing that secure income, my resignation to my leader, she was like, are you really leaving? Because I was running an entire department. And I was in the education department by the time I left, and had over 200 students that came in from nursing schools that would come through to my department. They depended on me a lot. And it was like, they could not give me a raise that I was giving myself at home. It didn't even make sense for me to drive that far to work anymore. Scared me to death. And I was excited at the same time. Like, I had to go to lunch as soon as I handed that in so I could scream outside. But it really is a transition to learn to work for yourself, because when you go to a job, you're working 40 hours for somebody else. You put in just enough effort not to get fired, and you're going to put in at least 25 to 30 years for somebody else, and you're going to get paid what they tell you to. So when I came home, it was on me to give myself raises. How hard I worked, if I called people, if I didn't. It was a big eye opener as an individual for being dependent on me, and it has been worth the adventure.
Yeah, that's great. So that leads into a great question. How do you manage your time now? Because I always say, it's so difficult as an entrepreneur. You're doing sales, you're doing marketing, you're, doing whatever it is, your product or services, you're doing accounting, you're doing so many things. Like, how do you manage your schedule? Do you want to talk about that? Because I'm always curious. Like, I find challenges with it.
If it is not on Google Calendar, it does not happen. Everything goes in my calendar. I have time set up. I write better at night. When I started writing this second book, I don't even start writing until like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I worked on night shift for years and years, and I just think better at night. So in the mornings, maybe the first hour, I'll check emails and do Facebook and set up my Hootsuite post so that it is automatically going out during the day. So that is a big thing that I do, is set up the automatic posting, because we don't want to be a slave to our social media, but we've got to stay in front of people so they don't forget you. And then in the afternoon, I'll go get my son. We'll do supper or whatever we're going to do. And then I come in here and I write. So the family's taken care of, and then I come in here and do what I need to do. So that is a challenge. That was a big challenge, was probably the first 6 weeks after I came home, was getting up out of bed, getting a new routine. The routine was very hard for me.
Yeah.
I
especially coming from nursing, where it's,
busy. busy, busy, busy. And I was just like,
Right.
okay, I've got all of this time. What do I do with it? So it took me a while to get a schedule going, but we pretty much got that together now.
And how do you prioritize sales? Do you dedicate like specific time to sales? Would you say it's like your first priority, your second priority? Like how much time? Because, and I asked because someone asked me on a webinar recently, like how much time should I dedicate to sales every week? And I was kind of like, well, it doesn't. And I finally realized it doesn't matter how much time, but you have to dedicate some time every week. And so I'm always curious how, as an entrepreneur, you know, you could spend all of your time on sales, or, you know, you could spend like a very little amount. So how do you decide how much time you spend on sales?
80% of the time you should be working on bringing in new people. 20% of the time is the other fluff.
Right.
It is very important to set up a system. That's why I've got the email list. When they come in new, I make sure they get on the team email list, and they've got 4 months lined out of content that's teaching them and reminding them, make sure you have your essential rewards set up, make sure you've got a Twitter account, a Facebook account, a Facebook page. You know, I walk them through it so that they are setting up their system when they come in. I put them in the email list because I don't have to repeat and do it over. I've got videos and things in there. So I bring them in, I put them in the list, get them in the group so they have a community that they can bond
that
with, ask them questions to. Yes. So there's 2 different avenues of support that they've got when they come in the group. And that you have to be a self-starter to work in network marketing or any business. You have to be.
As any entrepreneur, really, right?
Yes, anything. And if you want somebody to build your business, you're going to quit, because you really have to take the information that the trainer is giving you and apply it. But 80-20 is pretty much the best numbers that you can do. 80% of your effort needs to be bringing in new people all the time.
That is amazing. And I'm so glad you said that, because there's so many people who are spending just a few hours a week. You know, maybe they do coaching, or maybe they're a nutritionist, or they own a store, but 80% is really to really grow your business and be successful and be able to quit your full-time job and be an entrepreneur. You're spending 80%. So I really think that's so great that you shared that. Thank you. And I love the idea of the groups, because I went to a conference last week, and they really talked about this idea of, as an entrepreneur, you need to protect your confidence. And I had never really heard anyone say that before. And I thought that's such a good, important tip. And I thought, really, not just for entrepreneurs, for everyone, right? To protect your confidence. And so it sounds like that. And so I was thinking about that a lot. Like, how do you protect your confidence? And I was thinking, well, you really need to have a support group. So that's so great that you have a support group for your people. What do you personally do, like, to protect your confidence and to stay motivated? Because when you are an entrepreneur on your own, it's tough.
Well, and there are days that you're going to wake up, you're going to have bad days, and you don't feel like giving it your 100%. You have to make sure that you have downtime. I really enjoy walking with my 3 dogs. That's my thinking time. That we can, you know, just walking opens up the space for new ideas to come in. And if you don't take that time for yourself, you're going to find that you get burnout. You're going to find that you're innovated with people's issues and problems, because when you work with people, you're always going to have issues. And you've got to be a problem solver along the way. I am not going to solve your problem, but I'm going to tell you, this is what I would do. This is how I would fix that.
Right.
But yeah, you really have to take days off. You have to get out of the office. You have to shut things down so that you can really renew your own mind. Because if you did it 24/7, you don't go to a job 24/7. So, you know, you get off at 3:00 and you're done or whatever. And you really have to spend that time and keep yourself motivated, because you can get burnt out in this just like anything else.
Oh, so true. Yeah, absolutely. And so how would you define, like, success? What's your definition of success?
Seeing my family happy, being able to, as a mom, when they ask for something, we are not a things people. I don't want the bigger house. I don't want the elaborate cars. Our goal is to live debt free. That's success to me, is not to owe anybody anything. So when my commissions come in or when my payments come in, they're mine. I don't have to send them to a credit card or to. That's success for me. We're not Our goal is actually December of this year. All of our debts will be paid except the farm. Next December,
Wow.
everything stays lined up. The farm will be paid off. So we will be 100%.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is amazing. That is wonderful. That's wonderful. So I just wanted to, I know we don't have a ton of time because we were going to do 30 minutes, but I just want to see if anybody has any questions for you. I saw a couple of people join. So if anybody has questions, you can type them into the chat.
Mm-hmm.
And we're happy to talk about those questions with you. And while we're doing that, what advice would you have to someone who's just starting out in sales? And, you know, what I find, especially for women, is that a lot of times it's a confidence issue and they're kind of scared to do that initial ask, or even to ask questions. I noticed that they might not probe deeper and ask the right questions so they could, you know, find out if they can even get the sale. So what advice would you give to someone starting out in sales specifically?
Personal growth. Your check will only grow as big as your personal growth. And that is, even if you started out reading good books. I like Eric Worre, his GoPro. I like Sarah Robbins. I like Tony Robbins. This is where people's biggest issues is in between these two ears right here.
So true.
But if you can get this wrapped around the service that you're doing, the rest of it kind of flows. But you're not a salesperson. You're not a slimy person. You're providing a service. And as long as you're providing a service, people will know that. They know when they meet you, whether you are a meat-eating dinosaur or if you are somebody who's really got something for them to get into and that you're offering them. So personal development, I think, is just probably the biggest thing that I needed to get out of the employee mindset, because that is a whole nother mindset than being an entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah.
You have somebody telling you be at work at this time, go to break at this time, you've got lunch, you can have vacation, you can't. So now your mindset needs to shift, and that is a lot of shifting.
Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, it's a big transition. That's great. That's so great. So how did you do that? Was it through reading books? Was it through talking with people? How did your personal development evolve?
I used the books. Of course, I'm a big reader. I love to read. My Kindle was full of stuff. But going to events anytime that I could, and I make very sure that the people that are around me, if they are negative nannies, they're out the door. I don't spend my time with those people because they get in your head and it messes with everything. You're not aligned well. I make sure I've got positive people around me. I make sure I'm reading some good books. I tune in to webinars and things that have, good mindset growth to them. And of course, events. When I go to events, I make sure that I'm engaged and I'm meeting new people. And so that keeps you a little bit lined in business, which is a whole different mindset than you had before. So everybody needs that shift.
Yeah, I agree. And I think live events are so important as entrepreneurs, because we do so much on our own, and we could do tons of webinars online, but there's nothing that can really replace that in-person connection. And even just being in a room with other people and seeing the same, PowerPoint presentation or someone speaking really is so much more powerful. There's something about kind of being in that group. And I love that. So great. So any last words of wisdom? Because I don't see any questions. But if you guys have them, feel free to type them in. But any last words of wisdom for entrepreneurs or salespeople?
I think the people if you're watching this, you're probably already a entrepreneur and you just haven't really stepped into yourself yet. Actually going ahead and getting started. You can talk about it. Oh, I'm going to do it later. I'm going to do it next year. And then you look up and 3 or 4 years have passed. Start today. You start learning. When you put yourself in it and you make an effort, it will shock you what will happen in 1 year if you just get started today. So that is what I encourage my people all the time. They're going, I don't know how to. Okay, let's get started so that you can start learning how to do whatever that is.
I love that. That's so great. You've had so many great like words of wisdom, but I really love that you spend 80% of your time on sales. That's
Yep.
a huge
Yep.
takeaway I'm going to share with my followers. So thank you so much for
You're
joining.
welcome.
I'm Christine Pereira from Soulful Selling Bootcamp. I'm here with Angela Brooks. She's at angelabrook.com. And do you want to just give a quick shout out to your upcoming book and where they can find it?
Well, we don't even have a name for the book yet. That's how new it
Oh,
is. We still got 3 weeks worth of work to do on it. But it is going to be teaching how to use social media, how to build your business from a brand new person, and some of the steps that you need to get in place so that you are ready to build big. And I don't believe that any business person has to think small. I believe in thinking big. So set some goals, get some good training, change this mindset thing, and just get started.
yeah, I love that. Great. Well, you can find out more information at angelabrook.com. So thank you so much, Angela. It was great talking to you again.
You're welcome.
And have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, bye.